Hi, I'm AJ O'Neill, and I'm going to teach you today how to contribute to projects on GitHub. To use as an example is Utah.js. Some of the members on Utah.js were really interested in knowing how to do that. And so, with many open source sites, there would be something like a join or contribute or fork me on GitHub button, and we happen to have one of those. So if you go there, it gives you a link to the repository. And as with most sites, or projects rather, we have a README, and it gives some instruction on what format we appreciate the contributions to be in. So GitHub is really hot these days. If you don't have a GitHub account, you should get one because that's where most of the JavaScript projects are at. We're just going to go through a quick forking a repository, creating changes to it, and then pushing it back and getting those changes accepted. So here on the Utah.js website, we have some of those instructions. It says fork the repository and check out a new branch off of master. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to open up a new tab and show you where that button will be. I'm not logged in right now, so I'll log in. And now you can see that right here at the top, there's a button, fork. I'm going to click that button, and it's going to create a copy of this repository to my account on GitHub. So I've got a couple different organizations I belong to. If you've got another organization, you'll see that as well. And I'm going to fork to CoolAge86, my personal account. So now that's done. The next step is to clone that somewhere on my computer. So I've got iTerm opened up. I'm going to copy this Git URL. Notice that it's the SSH URL. That's the one I have write access to. Git clone. Paste that in there. And yes, I do want to accept GitHub's SSH key. Oh, permission denied. That's right, I don't have my SSH key. So it's really easy to generate an SSH key on Mac or on Linux. You can just type SSH keygen, hit enter. I answer a few questions, where to save it, if you want a passphrase to protect it, and then if you cat .ssh in your home folder, id rsa.pub, it's important that it's the public key. There's my key that I just generated. So I'll go ahead and I will add this to my GitHub account under account settings, SSH public keys, add another public key, and this is my screencast key that I'll be using with this particular account that I have. Alright, now that that's added, I'm going to go back to my account where I can see that I've just forked the utahjs.com repository. Clone. Okay, now you can see it recognizes my key and it's copied the content. So I'll go back to the README. I've cloned it. I can get into the repository. And an important part is to add the upstream. So when you fork something on GitHub, it goes to your personal account, but the main committers are still going to continue to make commits, edit the files, etc. Adding upstream allows you to be able to continue to track their changes so you don't get out of sync. So git remote add upstream, and then this address here is actually the read-only address, which I copied from right here. So when you're not a contributor to a project, you don't have the SSH Git access repository, you just have the choice between the HTTP and the read-only. So that's where I copied that from. And so now when I do a git pull origin master, that pulls from my personal fork of the repository. But if I do git pull upstream master, then that pulls from the main repository that I forked from. Okay, so then here we have some instructions that are specific to how to edit content on the Utah.js blog. And what I'm going to do is skip over this down to the part about submitting a pull request. Now, I am going to make a change to this repository. As you'll notice, there's no license in here. And I feel that we should have a license for our content. And so I happen to have the MIT and Apache 2 licenses in my home directory. I'm just going to copy them in here and then edit them so that the copyright belongs to Utah.js. And I'll also add those licenses to the README. The reason that I chose the MIT and Apache 2 licenses is that they do most of the same thing, but the MIT is really easy for anybody to just look at and understand, whereas the Apache 2 is written in legalese so that it gives you all the same rights, but from a lawyer's perspective. And so I think it's good to have both of those in any project that you want to be a true open source project without restrictions of various kinds. All right, so now that I've made my changes, I'm going to do git status, and that's going to confirm to me what has been changed. I have modified readme.md, and I have put 2 files in the repository which currently aren't tracked, so I'll go ahead and add those so that they will start being tracked. Alright, git status again to confirm my suspicions. Oh, I didn't add my changes to the README. And now I see that all of these changes will be committed and added license. Okay. So now that I've committed this, I'm going to go ahead and branch. That's one step I forgot to do earlier. Every time you're going to make a change, you should branch off of the current master with your change name, and then git push origin dash u license. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm pushing the new branch that I've created from this commit, which is called license, to my fork of this repository. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my fork of the repository. I'm going to refresh the page. And then here, I can switch the branch to license. I can look at the history of that branch by clicking on the commit and see what changes this commit made. From there, I can do a pull request. Now it's important that I switch the branch first to the one that I want the pull request to be from, which is the license branch. So added license, added MIT and Apache 2. Click send pull request. Now everyone who's a member of this repository who has read and write access is going to get an email letting them know that there's been a pull request made so that they can come and look at it and decide whether or not they want to merge it. Well, since I'm the one that made this and I do have the access to it, I'm going to go ahead and merge that in myself and confirm the merge. Okay, actually, if I check out master again, I'm already up to date with the upstream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do git log. I'm going to roll back my changes to the commit just before. Git reset dash dash hard and that commit. Okay, so now my master branch is the same place that it was before I made those changes. So if I do a git diff between master and license, I can see that my license branch is ahead of master. Let's say that somebody else had made this change. When I do git pull upstream master, it's going to pull in the changes that were pushed. Now I made those changes, but if someone else had made those changes, they wouldn't be in my repository, obviously, and so I have to pull them from upstream to get them in. Now if I were to make another change, I would git branch or git checkout dash B. That just saves one step. Git branch will create a branch, and then you have to check out the branch name. Git checkout dash B both creates the branch and checks it out at the same time. So I might create another branch, some other changes, and then I can repeat that process. So let me go back to these instructions here and make sure that I covered everything. I'm going to revert my current head back to before I added the license, just to demonstrate another way that merges are done from local branches. So again, git reset dash dash hard, get that commit hash before I added the license file. Okay, and now you'll see there's no license file again. So the one way I merged the changes in was I did git pull upstream master. I'm not going to do that this time. Instead, I'm going to do git merge from my local branch, which was license. You can see that the changes take effect. And now I'll do git pull upstream master. And this time we should see that it actually didn't update because I already had those changes. So it updated the commit reference of the merge, but no files were changed because I already had that merge in place. So I hope that this was informative. I hope you feel more comfortable about the process of forking a project, cloning it to your personal repository of that, making a pull request, pulling changes from upstream, and the end.